Yo, what up, chat, man? We are back, man. We are back, man. We back with episode 5, man. You know what I mean? So before we get into it on this episode, make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe, man, to the channel, Coach Black on YouTube. Man, make sure y'all follow us on Instagram. That's Coach Black on Instagram with 2 B's. On Twitter, it's Mr. Having Motion on Twitter, man. So make sure y'all follow, man. Make sure y'all follow up, man. Make sure y'all sub up too. So yes, like I said, we are back today with episode 5. All right, in today's episode, we are talking about elite programs, you know what I mean? Like elite programs and just what it takes, you know what I mean? Just to be on an elite program, just, you know what I mean? Whether you're coming from a mediocre program or, you know, just a non-competitive program, you know what I mean? Just, you know, that's what we're going to speak on today. You know what I mean? So make sure y'all really, you know, understand, you know, where I'm coming from, you know what I mean? Just giving y'all insight about what's really going on and just how things are done and and things that you are supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, first and foremost, like if, you know, just one thing, if you are at an elite program or say, let's just start from, say if you're at a mediocre program, you know what I mean? And then, you know, if you are at a mediocre program and you feel like you're talented enough or you feel like, hey, like, you know, I want to switch programs and, you know, to be better and to develop more and stuff like that, you know, there's completely nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? If you feel like you got a child that, you know, that can go to the next level and has, you know, any type of dreams or aspirations to go into the next level and you want to set them up, you know, at a young age to, you know, get the best work during the week, you know what I mean, or get the best work in practice because they're going against a bunch of dogs and stuff like that, there is completely nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There is completely nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I advise it. You know, I advise, you know, kids, you know what I mean, you know, getting with the best of the best and becoming joining a good program, you know what I mean, to where you kind of can get beat up during the week and, you know, there's all type of high level competition during the week, you know what I mean, to when you get to the games, you know what I mean, it's a piece of cake, you know what I mean, because you're getting the best of the best during the week, you know what I mean, there's programs, you know what I mean, in mediocre leagues or, you know what I mean, it's out of their control of who they play and when they play, you know what I mean, so the most best work that you get is during the week. You feel what I'm saying? That's mostly the best work that you get during the week. You know what I mean? So just be advised that there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Because you're going to get developed. You know what I mean? You get good hard practices, stuff like that. So, you know, my opinion, there is completely nothing wrong when moving your child or putting your child to an elite program, you know what I mean, if he's trying to develop a lot better or, you know what I mean, he's already skillful to just blend right in and compete. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you are one of those parents or and one of those type of kids or athletes that have the wiggle room to go to a better program than where you was already at, you know what I mean, and say you want to just take your skill level to a new height, you know what I mean, that means if I'm already knowing that I'm finna go to a better program and say this program is already elite. Say this program is winning championships. You know, they're one of the top programs in the area, top programs on the coast, wherever your jurisdiction may be. You know what I mean? I have to understand not only as a parent, but as an athlete that, okay, going into my transition, I need to already prepare to be better. You know what I mean? I don't need to just wait until I get to the program and, now I want to start working hard. That's not how you want to do it. You want to do it to where, okay, I'm already training even harder than more than I have ever been, you know what I mean, to make sure that I'm up to the skill level that I'm going into with the team that I'm going into. You know what I mean? I think you guys don't understand like what it takes. Like if this team is already winning, if this program is already successful for years and has a history of being successful and has a history of developing talent and has history of getting guys out and, you know, top players and stuff like that, then you need to understand, okay, if I'm the guy on my old team, but the old team wasn't good or didn't have a lot of skilled players, okay, then that means I need to step my game up with my development on my own and my training on my own to be able to not only solidify myself on this winning program team, but to solidify myself as my growth as far as how I'm going about it. Like I see kids sometimes to where they're, you know what I mean, say they come to the program. They come to the winning program and maybe it doesn't pan out the way they thought it would, or they do make the team and just say they feel like they're obligated or they feel like they're owed this much playing time, or they're owed this much reps, or whatever the case may be. And then it doesn't work out, okay? And then, for instance, say they leave the program, okay? And then when they leave the program, whatever reasons they may be, because they felt like they just weren't getting their shine as they wanted and stuff like that. First and foremost, if you're a player on a mediocre team and you're the best guy, you know what I mean? You got to understand when going to an elite program, there's a lot of good guys. So being that there's a lot of good guys, you're not going to come in if you ain't working as hard as them. All right. If your skill level ain't up at the best at the skill level that's already on that program. Like we should be realistic as parents, you know what I mean, to know like, okay, my kid's not better than this guy, but not saying he can't be better, but saying like, okay, I just need to work harder. And I just need to do more when it comes to physically, mentally, you know what I mean? When it comes to the skills to get on that level so I can get the coaches more respect, like, hey, he's working harder and, you know what I mean, he's developing, you know, and that's all that type of stuff takes time. And I don't think you guys understand that. I think everybody wants just the instant success instead of just putting in the work and letting your kid develop. You know what I mean? I think people just get it misconstrued. Oh, I'm just coming to the best program and I'm just going to be one of the best guys too. It don't work like that, because these kids that are already on this best program are already probably been working out for years, probably been training for years and doing all these type of things. That's why they developed into the best guys on their respective teams. You know what I mean? Especially like in the youth. In the youth, I just see so much of a carousel. Oh, I'm taking my kid here. I'm taking my kid here. I'm taking my kid here. You're not getting nothing out of it but showing your kid that, hey, when stuff gets hard or stuff gets tough, I'm going to just remove them from the situation. And that's not how you want to do it, because what are you teaching your kids? You know what I mean? So say a kid goes to a good program and it doesn't pan out and then they leave. Okay, then y'all understand like, okay, well, I'm gonna prove to somebody else or prove to the program that I left that my kid is good. So we're gonna start training, go in and start training hard and busting our ass, you know what I mean? Blood, sweat, and tears. Well, you should have been doing that before. You know what I mean? It shouldn't take for you to not get what you wanted out of a good situation that you was in, and you would have developed a lot more by staying. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with leaving and just doing what you want to do. But I'm talking about as far as the people that already have intentions. Oh, I'm going to join this program because it's an elite program. It's elite coaching. It's elite players on the team. You know what I mean? And then you get to the program and it doesn't pan out what you want because maybe you're not getting the ball as much, or whatever respective sport it is, it just didn't pan out, or what you thought it was because you had your own expectations, you know, and not really understanding the severity of where you at and the program that you at. These type of programs, these elite programs, will do good and will do and be successful no matter what, because that's the foundation that they laid already. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who's there, who come and goes. They will get the guys developed. They'll take the elite guys already, and you know what I mean, and develop them even more. But we always, those programs always turn you know what I mean, turn, silver into gold. You know what I mean? That's what they do, because this is why they're so successful, because anybody can plug in, because they're developing players that way. And you guys need to understand that. So if it takes for you to get the door shut and a new opportunity where you should have been working, and now you just want to bust your ass because you want to prove them wrong instead of proving yourself right. Prove yourself right and be the person that you needed to be, instead of, oh, well, I didn't like the situation because I wasn't, my kid didn't get to be who I thought he was going to be on this elite program. You know what I mean? And now I'm going to bust my ass. No, you should have been busting your ass beforehand. You know what I mean? Knowing what you was getting into. You should have been busting your ass before that. And I don't think people understand that. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't see kids like, where they'll be a lot better if they would have just stayed. And there's nothing wrong with leaving. But what I'm saying is you guys are like contradicting yourselves and want to be elite players and want to be these type of individuals, but you're not willing to trust the process and work for it. You know what I mean? You just want to be handed this because, you might have knew somebody, or, you developing a relationship with these coaches and stuff like that. It don't work like that in real life. It don't work like that at the college level where you're trying to go. You know what I mean? You always got to start from scratch somewhere. No matter what new beginnings, what new opportunities, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new sport or new team, like, you got to work from the bottom always. You don't just start at the top. Nobody does. So you guys got to understand that, put in the work, and then you'll elevate and grow into the person that you need to be. But all this moving around and stuff like that, that's not how you need to go about it. You know what I mean? And I'm going to bust my ass now because I removed myself from this situation and I felt like I was better than them. Well, you could have stayed and proved that anyway. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? And there's all types of people that are in these situations. You know what I mean? But I just want people to understand what it takes to be an elite player on an elite program, on an elite team. It takes a lot. It takes a discipline, focus, hard work, time and time again. You know what I mean? And what you want to teach your kids is, all right, we don't want to be handing nothing. We just want to take advantage of every opportunity that there is, you know what I mean? And seize those opportunities, because that's making you to a better person. That's making you into a better man or woman. You know what I mean? It's just making you better. You know what I mean? Everybody has a turn. You know what I mean? And if you're on an elite program, there's a bunch of dogs already on these elite programs. So you just want to be another dog in the kennel too. You know what I mean? And another piece to the puzzle, instead of trying to just be the guy. You know what I mean? Like, everybody these days just want to be the guy on their respective teams. But now, say you're the guy on these mediocre teams. Well, you're finally gonna, especially if you're in the youth, you're gonna find out real soon that, okay, now I go to a top program high school and there's a whole bunch of guys, not just you. There's a whole bunch of them, and now he or she is not used to that competition, because the way you came up and the way you brought your kid up is just, I just want him to be the guy and do this and do that and do that, and and be the highlight of the team. You know what I mean? Instead of just being a part of, being a piece to the puzzle. And now you're already groomed for competition. You're already groomed with the physicality. You're already groomed with the skill set. And that's what you guys need to understand. Like, you guys should be preparing your kids for the next level. If you're in youth, you're preparing them for the high school. If you're in high school, you're preparing them for college. And if you're in college, you're preparing them for any type of pro sport that you're trying to get into. You know what I mean? So, like, let's be realistic about sports. You know what I mean? Either you're better than the guy in front of you or you're not. You know what I mean? And if you feel like you're better, you're going to show and prove that you're better each rep, each time. You know what I mean? With consistency. And that's not going to be no overnight. You know what I mean? That takes some grooming. Like, you see all type of good programs and stuff like that. And, you know what I mean? Guys, what are we talking about in college? Like Alabama and all these top programs, Ohio States and all these top programs. But, you know what I mean? That don't mean the guy that's the second, third, and fourth depth chart, that don't mean he sucks. Nah, it's just there's guys in front of him that are good. You know what I mean? That are better, you know what I mean? But when they get the opportunity, they're going to show it. That's why you don't see no drop off when these guys come in and play, because they're just as good, but just these teams are stacked. You know what I mean? Teams are stacked. And you see some players that go to these mediocre schools and ball out, which is not bad. Those coaches and that program might have wanted them there. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But I'm just talking about as far as being on these elite programs, these top-notch teams, these top-tier, tier 1 teams. Like, you got to understand what you're getting into. And I don't think people do that, whether it's in youth, middle school, high school, and college. Like, I don't think you guys understand that, what it takes and the hard work that you got to put in to be able to do so. You know what I mean? So just be mindful of that. Like, we have to be mindful of that. We have to grasp that now because, like I said, a lot of these kids, it starts with the youth that they just don't get it. You know what I mean? That's why they get to a top program and, they leaving after a year because they physically wasn't ready. They're mentally they wasn't ready. You know what I mean? And the skill set wasn't ready. Wasn't up to par. So, I see a lot of it, man. I've been coaching for 12 years. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen it time and time again. You know what I mean? I've seen it time and time again. So, like, let's just be mindful on how you guys approach being on these top programs. You know what I mean? Just be mindful of that. It's tough. Like, it's not for everybody. Everybody don't got that dog in them. Everybody don't like competition. Everybody just don't like it. You know what I mean? But don't learn by having your own expectations on these top programs. Then you want to go bust your ass and then you want to go work hard and go hard at it. Nah, we should be doing that from the gate so we can be established on any type of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 program. We want to be able to adapt to any situation to where I know I'm going to put my athlete out there. He's going to perform because he's already built for it. He's already been accustomed to doing that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we just got to be realistic about situations. And I've seen this time and time again, but it starts with the youth. Like, we got to make sure that we're doing the right things for these kids, you know what I mean? And teaching the right things for these kids and helping them to understand. Because while you're just bouncing around, you're showing no loyalty to not only your kid, to loyalty to any program that you set out. Because you're just creating a trail of, hey, when stuff doesn't go right for me and mine, we removing them from the situation. We coddling these kids. And that's not what we need to do. We don't need to coddle these kids. We don't at all. That's not what we need to do. We need to build them. We need to build them mentally and physically to work hard and to go after what they want. Because at the next level, they're not going to care about mommy and daddy, you know what I mean, removing their kids. They're just going to find somebody else that's going to be next man up. That's what they're going to do. You know what I mean? That's just the cold, hard facts about it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just you know, I hope this is very informational to who it needs to be. You know what I mean? This is nothing personal. It's not towards anybody. No, nothing. This is just a census of what I see when it, you know, from youth all the way up to the college level. You know what I mean? It's like we're just removing these kids anytime stuff gets hard. You know what I mean? And that's not the way we need to build kids in these society, because that's just developing a soft mentality that we don't need. You know what I mean? We need to bring this toughness back, you know what I mean, in all phases of it, whether it's coaching, whether it's playing, you know what I mean? That's what we want to do. We're not in the finesse game. Like, we're not trying to finesse nobody. When you get to the pros in college, they're not finessing nobody. They're telling you straight up what it is. Either your kid is not good enough and this is why they're not playing, or vice versa. You know what I mean? They're going to give it to you straight. So you need to give it to your kids straight up now, instead of grooming them to, you know what I mean, to be obligated or feel like they owed something. That's not how the way the world works. So, you know, that ends my episode today, man. Like I said, I hope you guys like, share, subscribe, you know what I mean, to the YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Please sub up, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I mean? That's it for today. You know what I mean? We'll be back with another episode. You know what I mean? And God bless y'all.